I'd always been the kind of person who laughed at the idea of haunted woods. I liked facts and contingency plans, and the closest I came to superstition was knocking on wood before a big climb. So when I heard about the old Cedar Ridge Trail, the one people whispered about in town, I figured it was just a bunch of stories told by folks who'd never learned to read a map. I parked my car at the trailhead a little past noon, the sky crisp and blue, sun slicing through the last of the morning fog. I checked my pack. Water, food, first aid, backup battery, physical map, compass, the whole deal. The trail was supposed to be 7 miles, and out and back with a few switchbacks and a steep climb at the end. Nothing I hadn't done dozens of times before. The first hour was uneventful. Just the rhythmic crunch of boots on pine needles and the occasional caw of a crow overhead. I kept glancing at my map, checking landmarks, mentally ticking off each bend and clearing. It was quiet out there, the kind of quiet that makes you realize how loud your own breathing is. But then things got weird. I kept counting the ridges, checking the sun, but nothing lined up with what I'd memorized. The big boulder with the spray of orange lichen, gone. The creek crossing at mile 3, I never saw it. Instead, the trail just wound deeper into thicker, darker woods, the trees getting closer together, the light thinning. I told myself I must have missed a turn, but there weren't any. I retraced my steps, only to find the path behind me looked different. The dirt was softer, almost spongy, swallowing the marks my boots should have left. I tried to calm myself, but it was like the woods were swallowing sound too. My footsteps felt muffled, like I was moving underwater. By the time the sun started to dip, painting the tips of the trees with gold, I'd given up on finishing the trail. I turned around, heart beating a little too fast, and tried to head back the way I came. But every time I thought I recognized a fallen log or a cluster of mossy rocks, I'd blink and they'd be gone, or flipped around, or somehow just wrong. Twilight in the woods is always disorienting, but this was different. I kept hearing things, soft rustles, maybe voices, threading through the branches overhead. Not animal sounds, but something almost like laughter, carried on the wind. I gripped my map so hard it tore, and then something touched me. Light, barely there, but I felt the pressure wrap around my arm, cold and heavy. I jerked away, stumbled, and my ankle twisted beneath me with a sickening crunch. Pain shot up my leg, and I gasped, dropping to the forest floor. The dirt was cold and smelled like rot. I tried to get up, but every time I put weight on my ankle, it felt like needles stabbing through my skin. The voices grew louder. I kept telling myself it was just the wind, maybe an echo or a trick of the mind. But I could hear words now, my name, whispered over and over like a chant. Claire, Claire, Claire. I dragged myself to my feet, using a stick as a crutch, limping forward. That's when I saw it, a shape, pale and thin, just at the edge of the trees. It stood perfectly still in the moonlight, too tall, too still. I tried to ignore it, kept moving. But every time I stopped to catch my breath, it stopped too. When I hobbled forward, it drifted after me, always just far enough away that I couldn't make out a face. I tried to run, but my ankle wouldn't let me. Every movement made the figure move too, matching my pace exactly. I could feel its gaze on me, cold and sharp, like needles pricking the back of my neck. I didn't know where I was. Didn't know where the trail ended or began anymore. The woods just kept folding in around me, tighter and tighter, until I could hardly breathe. I don't know how long I wandered. The moon rose high and cold, and my flashlight died somewhere along the way. The last thing I remember is collapsing against a tree, the shape moving closer, the voices rising in a hollow chant. Claire, Claire. If you ever drive through the little town near Cedar Ridge, you'll see a faded poster tacked to the corkboard outside the general store. My face, smiling, staring back at you. Missing since October. I guess I'm just another story now, another warning for hikers who think they have nothing to fear from the woods.